Hello, Paul Chuck from CIOKS here. In this video I'm going to present a third product in the Future Power Generation range. It's the CIOKS 8 expander unit. And this product is mainly designed to be used as an extension for the DC7. You can see it here, it's connected to the DC7 with the link cable. We have also the 4 connected to this link output. I'll talk more about this later. I'll start with talking about the dimensions and the weight of the CIOKS 8 and the technology. CIOKS 8 is built on the same technology as we have in the DC7, which has been on the market for almost 2 years now. So the DC outlets you have, and you have 8 of these in CIOKS 8, they are built in the same way as in DC7. Each outlet is configurable to 4 different voltages, 9, 12, 15 and 18 volts. And you can see how to set the voltages on the legend, which is printed on the top of the enclosure. CIOKS 8 is also the same height as DC7, very low profile. It's only 1 inch, 25.4 millimeters. It's very light. It's 340 grams, which corresponds to 3/4 of a pound. So it's really, really light. And the footprint is 120 by 88 millimeters. As I mentioned before, it's a third product we've made in the Future Power Generation range, but it's also a much more simple product than the other 2, which is the 4 and the DC7. And it's simple because it's meant to be simple and simple to use as an expander for DC7. You can power it with the 24 volt DC, which is available here on the output of the DC7. And you simply connect it with a link cable, DC link cable, and you have 24 volt power on this, and you add additional 8 outlets to the DC7. So you end up with a combo which gives you 15 outlets in total, and on top of that you of course also have the USB on the DC7. When you purchase the CIOKS 8 power supply, you get it in a gift box, and here I show you what's included when you buy the CIOKS 8. In the box, when you open it, you get the Flex and DC Link cable selection guide. It's been updated with all the link cables we use to interconnect the Future Power Generation products, and these are shown here on the last page. And also now we also have pictures of most crucial types of cables we sell as accessories, as extra cables, but also you can find those which are included in this guide, and this helps you to figure out which cables to use for what. Also you get a sticker which you can put on your pedal board or wherever you like, and this is also included. Now I'm removing the top foam here, and here you'll find the product sheet, which gives you the most crucial specifications and features of CIOKS 8 power supply, but it also functions as a drill guide where you have small marks which show you where to drill holes if you wish to mount the CIOKS 8 to a pedal board by means of screws. Here we have the power supply itself, and when you open up this compartment you have the manual. You've got the DC link cable, which is included in the length of 50 centimeters. And then you get a bunch of flex cables. When you buy a CIOKS 8 power supply, you get the same set of flex cables you get in the DC7, and that is a total of 12 different flex cables. Here we have listed all the cables you get, and you can see the different types and also find them in the flex guide. And the last piece of equipment you get here is a zip bag containing 2 screws and an Allen key, and that is or can be used to mount the power supply onto a pedal board. Okay, CIOKS 8, and how do I use it? How do I connect it? Well, it's pretty simple. You need a solid 24 volt DC, and you can use any of these two as the input for CIOKS 8. Here we have shown a DC7 powered of the grid of the mains, and we are using the dclink cable to power the CIOKS 8 from the top outlet. But I mean, you can also, now have disconnected the 4, I can also come in with the power here if it's more convenient for you. The dclink cable, which is to be used to connect CIOKS 8 power supply to the DC7 power supply, we include is 50 centimeter long. But we offer these in 4 different lengths, starting from 15 centimeters, going over to 50, and then you have the 80 centimeters, and the very long one, it's 160 centimeters, which corresponds to around 63 inches. And this is if you want to use the CIOKS 8 on the separate pedal board, or you want to have the DC7 on the floor and maybe have a few pedals on your table, then you can reach longer with this 160 centimeter cable. It is important to notice that we have 2 different cables which might look similar, but one is to connect the CIOKS 8 with the DC7 and the other is to be used with the CIOKS 4 power supply. And the difference is in the second plug, where the DC-Link cables have the same black plug, 24 volt plug in each end, and the CIOKS 4 cable, C4 cable, has a red plug in one end and then the 24 volt plug at the other end. If you look in the Flex guide and the DC-Link cable guide, you will find the DC-Link cables in this section and the black-red ones in this section, and they are called C4 link cables. The last cable in the DC-Link section is the DC-Link adapter, and this adapter cable has to be used if you wish to power a 24 volt device of either the DC7 24 volt outlet or the 24 volt linked output. If you have the DC7 and the C8 on your pedal board, you'll be most likely powering the C8 from the DC7, like this, and then the 24 volt DC output here is used. And if you wish to power this extra 24 volt device, you need this L0110 adapter cable. You can connect it here. Then you get the RCA, and to this one you can connect any flex cable which matches the 24 volt device you might have. There are a few amplifiers which are made as stomp box size, and some of them are actually using 24 volts, so this is a nice way of having one of these powered of this system. The reason for having 2 sockets as input or link on the CIOKS 8 power supply is not only to use the adapter to power an extra 24 volt device, but also if you have a huge pedal board and you wish to daisy chain a couple of CIOKS 8, then you can use the second outlet here and then power a second unit. In this way you get, let me calculate, 8, 16 plus 7, 23 DC outlets. When the DC7 power supply is used with 1 or 2 CIOKS 8 extension units, it's very convenient to have the power meter. Here you have the possibility of connecting quite a lot of pedals, and if these draw a lot of current, it's very nice for you to know whether you're overloading the DC7 or not. I mean, in this setup, you're able to power 23 pedals. If all of these were very high current draw and you'll be utilizing the maximum current on each outlet, you will most likely overload the DC7. But I mean, then you have to have a lot of very high current pedals. But then you can just by a glance at the power meter know whether or not you are overloading this guy or how much load you put on this with the setup you might have. And just briefly about the power, the DC7 have a maximum of 48 watts, which in such a configuration has to be divided in between all these outlets you have available. Each outlet is 6 watts, which corresponds to 660 milliamps at 9 volts, and the current of each outlet is less and less the higher voltage you set it to. So at 18 volts you get 330 milliamps. You might ask yourself whether you can use CIOKS 8 power supply as a standalone unit. And here is our answer. Well, yes, but we are not recommending this. Because simply as we have the power adapter for the 4, where this set can be used for a small pedal board, I think I've got one here, like this, it's not something I would recommend with the 8. Because the power adapter, in that case, would have to be in a range of 60 watts. And that would be slightly larger than this one. And if you combine these two, you end up with something which is pretty similar in size and weight as a DC7. So comparing a CIOKS 8 with the external power adapter and the DC7, there's not much difference. So you might as well then just get the DC7 if you're considering the 8 as a standalone unit. The only difference would be one extra DC outlet here, where you get the USB on the DC7. So we are not going in the near future to offer a power adapter to CIOKS 8 to be used as a standalone unit, but it would be sold as an expander for the DC7. Now I'm going to talk about how to mount the CIOKS 8 power supply to a pedal board. Well, there are a few options. With each unit in the gift box you get the product sheet, and on the product sheet, as I mentioned before, there are marks which corresponds to position of threaded holes in the back of the unit. You can use the product sheet as a drill guide, drill a few holes, and then if you have a pedal train board, simply use the included screws and the Allen key to fasten the power supply to a pedal board. It will be a very solid fixture by means of 2 screws. All CIOKS power supplies are compatible with Temple Audio pedal boards in a way that these threaded holes in the bottom of each power supply, they match this grid of holes, and you can simply use the same screws which are included to fasten the power supply on the bottom or top of a Temple Audio board. In case you would like to make a distance in between the board here and the power supply, so there is space for the thumb screws for Temple plates, you can get this additional 4-hex set of standoffs, and then you use this to elevate the power supply and make a distance of 8 millimeters in between the board and the power supply surface. If you own a pedal train board, we have a very nice, easy way of mounting the CIOKS 8 power supply in the same way as we have with the DC7, and that is by using the grip. The grip is a bracket which can be purchased separately. You simply attach it to the power supply using these 2 holes, like this. And when the grip is attached, you simply put it in the position on the pedal board where you want it to be, and then use additional 2 screws here to fasten the power supply to the pedal board without drilling. I said earlier that CIOKS 8 power supply is the same low 1-inch profile as the DC7, and this makes this combo very easy to use with all the flat pedal boards from Pedal Train. This might be a little bit too small, but I know that recently Pedal Train have released longer versions of these Metro boards in the same low profile, and the very long ones can accommodate many pedals where you might want to use the 8 with the DC7 together in a combo, and then you have 15 isolated powerful outlets to power this kind of board. The grip can of course also be used with the bigger pedal boards from Pedal Train. You simply place it here and attach it like this, and the result is shown here. So to sum it all up, CIOKS 8 expander power supply, which can be used as an extension to DC7 to give you a total of 15 isolated outlets plus USB, very low profile, 1 inch tall, exactly the same height as the DC7, 4 different voltage options on each outlet, compatible with pedal boards from Temple Audio, compatible with the grip, the same size, the same standard grip as the DC7. 12 flex cables are included, and also the DC-link cable to connect it to the DC7 power supply. And for those of you who have a huge pedal board with loads of pedals, just remember you can use even 2 CIOKS 8 power supplies with the DC7 to get 23 isolated outlets, or even more if you add a third one, but that would be ridiculously big pedal board, I guess. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and see you soon.